Dr. Chomsky, what would your recommendation be for corporations? Should they be eliminated, or is there a trend towards changing them, adapting them to the democratic ideals?
Well, my feeling about corporations is very much like my feeling about bolshevism and fascism, to which they resemble. In a short-term period, you want to reform them. Okay, so if you're living under, say, the rule of a king, you know, it makes sense to plead with the king to act more kindly to his subjects, you know, and that's always good, you know. So don't torture as many people, and you know, give more gifts to poor people, and so on, and that makes good sense. When the population of the United States by 20-to-1 says that corporations ought to sacrifice profits for communities and workers, that 95% majority is saying the king ought to be more benevolent, not so harsh. And that's good. I agree with that. The king ought to be more benevolent. But of course, you can go a little further and say, is the institution legitimate at all? And I don't think it is, for the reasons I discussed, so therefore it ought to be dismantled. And workers ought to be the masters of their own industrial fate, as Dewey put it. And all the rest, you know, way back to Lincoln and, you know, back to Aristotle and so on. Now, it's kind of an interesting commentary on the way the propaganda system, the doctrinal system has functioned, that ideas that were standard among, you know, mill hands and Lowell 100 years ago sound unimaginable today. I mean, they were saying, look, the institution's illegitimate. It's infringing on our rights as free men and women. They were not asking the autocracy to be more benevolent. They were saying it should disappear because we want to enjoy the rights that we won in the American Revolution, or so they thought. Nowadays, that's almost unthinkable. And the most that can be asked for is that the absolutism be more benevolent, that the king act a little more nicely. Well, that's a tremendous victory of a propaganda system. And it has it's been extremely hard. For 180 years now, there has been an effort to drive out of people's heads normal, ordinary human sentiments and to make them think just for themselves. You want things just for yourself, you know, instill the new spirit of the age, gain wealth, forgetting all but self. You have no rights other than what you can get on the market. And it's been a very hard battle to get that across, but it's, you know, over time it has worked. So now people don't even think about being free. The most they think about is asking the ruler to be more benign. But to get back to your question, I don't think we should limit ourselves to that.